Hi everyone, so in this video I'm going to be continuing the Python beginner series, and in this one I'm going to talk about the different windows in Wing and also some basic data types and some very basic operations to get you started with Python. So the first window that I'm going to talk about is the Python shell itself. This is the window where all the results or outputs from the code that you input in the editor show up. So if you have the print statement from the last video, if you remember it was print hello world. So yeah, so as you can see, the output of that is going to be in the Python shell. Yeah. So this is what the Python shell does. Is just the output of everything that you have in the editor, or the output of things that the output of the code that you put in the Python shell itself too. The next window is the debug IO window. This window is a bit more complex than the other two, and I think I might need to make a separate video for it. So if you guys want to have me talk about debugging, you can let me know by putting a comment down below. I also answered questions if you have any regarding Python. So if you have any questions, you can just put them in the comment box below, and then I will try my best to answer them. But I'll give a brief explanation of what it is. So it basically lets you go through your code line by line and fix errors that you otherwise would find difficult to fix. I'll make an elaborate video on it as I said later on, so don't worry much about it. Okay, so now since the boring part is over, we can get into the coding stuff. So Python is a very intuitive and smart language, as I said in the first video, in the sense that you don't have to do much for the computer to understand your code. So for example, if I type in 4 plus 5 in the shell, press enter, the output 9 is gonna show up instantly. If I was using some other language such as C or C++ or Java or anything like that, like I would have to use a lot more code than just 4 plus 5 to output 9. Now you probably must be curious why I'm not using the editor for this, and there are two reasons for it. If I type any code in the editor, I'll have to do an extra step of running the code, which is pressing this button right here. Whereas down here I can just type in any code and just press enter, and it's going to give me the result. Also, in order to run a piece of code in the editor, it needs to be saved somewhere on your system, which takes up unnecessary space, which is not a big deal for now and wouldn't be for the most part of this series, but as you learn to code more complex programs, storage space becomes an issue, and yeah, it just becomes a lot more difficult to like handle all that storage space and everything. I digress from the topic, and yeah, back to doing operations. In the same way I can perform, in the same way that I did 4 plus 5, I can perform any mathematical operations, including division, integer division, maximum, minimum, multiplication, or anything else that I want. For now, this probably won't mean much to you, but you probably must be thinking, well, your calculator could probably do the same, but once we get into the variables, the purpose of these operations will make a lot more sense. But before we talk about variables, we need to talk about data types. So there are four basic data types in Python that are strings, integers, floating point numbers, also known as decimals, and Boolean operators. And I have for one example of each of them right here. So this is a string, this is an int, this is a float, and this is a Boolean operator. There are two types of Boolean operators, true and false. Anything that you put between quotation marks, either these quotation marks or just single quotation marks, is a string. And every data type has different operations that you can perform on it. We already talked about the operations that you can perform on integers. So let's use the max operation. So max of 4, 5, uh, and a bunch of other random numbers. And yeah, let's use the min. I have an extra thing here. Yeah. Floating numbers use almost all the same operators that integers use, so I'm not gonna use them here. Strings are a little bit different, and in the sense that you cannot multiply two strings for obvious reasons. This like multiplication of two strings does not make a lot of sense. So if I do try to do it, it shows an error. I can though multiply a string with a number. So okay, this is a bit too much. Wait, let me just try a simpler example. Yeah. So any string multiplied by 2 just gives out the string 2 times and put together. I can also add 2 strings, like so. And there are a lot more operations on strings that you can do, and I'll have a link in the description that's going to expose you to a lot more operations that you can experiment with. But for now, these are the basic operations. I think I'm missing booleans. So the basic operations on booleans that you can do is not true, is false. You can also do or. If you're not familiar with or and or other logical operators, you should probably watch a video on it. And I feel like it's a really important topic. And if you want me to cover it, I can probably make a video myself. And yeah, as usual, if you want me to make a video on it, just put a comment down in the description, and I'll probably make a video on it. But yeah, moving on, you can also change the data type of an object altogether. For example, if I do string, put true in it, this is a boolean, press enter, it changes it to string true. As you can see, it's between quotation marks, so that means it's a string now. I can also convert integers to strings, or floating points to strings. In the same way, I can also convert strings to integers, like so. But if I try to do something like this wouldn't work. And you can experiment on your own what works and what not works. I feel like if I just tell you everything, then it won't be as interesting to you, like learning Python. So yeah, I feel like you should experiment on your own and just see like what works and what doesn't work. And yeah. Also, as I said, I'm going to link a webpage in the description that's going to introduce you to more of the stuff, just in case you want to experiment on your own. There are also other data types, such as lists. And wait, let me just open up this image right here that I found. Yeah, this one. So as you can see, we already talked about numbers. Numbers are basically just integers and floating points. We talked about booleans. We talked about strings. We didn't talk about these four, and I'm gonna make a separate video on these because these are a little more complex than the other three basic types. And yeah, I think this is it for this video. I think you should probably head down to the description and go to the link that I talked about, and experiment on your own, see what works, what does not work. If you have any questions, just put them down in the description box, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching.